Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Michelle Aubin and Linda Lang.
Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Aubin, and my co-host Linda Lang will be joining us. We are the co-hosts for the podcast Exploring the Mystical Side of Life, and we post all of our videos on this Facebook page and also on this YouTube channel. So we thought it would be fun to mix it up today and do something live. And if any of you are joining us, we're going to focus on the I Ching this week, and we're going to be doing live readings. So the I Ching, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the I Ching. We did an episode that we posted last week about this very old book called the I Ching, Book of Changes, and it's based on a Taoist philosophy of life, basically that life is made up of energy and that energy is always in flux. And I'm not an expert on Taoism, so if you're hearing me say things that you question, please feel free to comment in the chat. Like, that's perfectly okay. But from just sort of hobby engagement with this book, I've learned some fascinating things. It's a fascinating process. It's an oracle, but it's also a teacher, and it teaches about all of the potential phases of change. So they capture this in the form of what's called hexagrams, and hexagrams they look like this. Lines. Let me see the light. See that? So if you were to use the oracle, in the old days they would do what's called throwing yarrow stalks. Then it was an easier way was to throw coins, which you get heads or tails for coins. And when you get a head or a tail, it tells you if the line is what's called open or broken or solid. I don't know. It's a solid line or it's an open line. And the combination of these lines, 6 lines, creates the reading. And there are a potential of 64. When you get your lines, you throw your coins, you get your lines. There's a formula for how to get your lines. But these days you can just do it online. That's the easy part. But if you're using a book, the book will usually tell you, and you get your hexagram, you get your number, and you read the reading. And usually it's very insightful and very in-depth. And I'm going to see if Linda's joining us. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking a bit. So if you are listening and you can hear me, please comment. So you can learn more by listening to our previous episode. I'm not going to go into a lot of the history because I did that in our previous episode, and I'm not going to go into heads or tails or all of that. Okay, so Linda's here. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for you to come back on as Linda Lang, and I'll keep talking about this. So, okay, so I talked about how you throw the coins. I talked about heads or tails, tells you if the combination of heads or tails, if the line is open or closed. And I told you how to come up with a hexagram, and I told you how to use the chart at the end of, if you have a book, there's usually a chart like this, and it tells you how to find your hexagram number based on the lines you throw. And so you know how to get your, from the previous episode, you know how to get your hexagram. You know how to find the number, and then you read the commentary. And so if anyone joining us, if you want me to do a reading, if you have a question, I can do a reading for you, and we'll see what that's like. And Linda, I can't figure out how to get you on video, but type in the comments a question that you have, Linda, and we'll work with that. We'll see what comes up. So type in a question you might have that I could do a reading for you. Now, I did a reading for myself before this call because I have a headache, and I have been doing different things to ease that headache. Incidentally, it's passed, thankfully, so I feel okay. But it's the kind of oracle that you can use for any question. You can use for business, you can use it for relationships, you can use it for health, you can use it if you want to know what kinds of foods you should eat, what kinds of foods you shouldn't eat, that kind of thing. You can use it for a lot of things. So I did a reading for myself. So my reading was about my headache, and I came up with a the number 12, and I'm going to show that to you. And sometimes I do these readings and it just blows my mind because it really resonates. So, why do I have a headache was the question. I came up with hexagram 12, which is, I don't know if you can see, stagnation. Number 12, stagnation. So stagnation. And I'm not going to read word for word. I'm just going to summarize as I read. So it's talking about that there is an impasse. Some of the language I love of this, there's an impasse in the forces of nature. Nothing productive can be accomplished. This I am reading from the book. The natural order that nourishes and fosters all things is disjointed and disunited. The lines of communication are down. Because of this, there is no understanding of what is needed, and growth cannot continue. When growth stops, stagnation begins. So that seems to really apply to this situation. Now, this is interesting. Any useful insights or ideas you may have will be met with apathy or rejection. So they're going on to say the problem is not in my motives. The problem is that there's it's the environment, it's the ambience. They're talking about the political and social environment, how that can be corrupted, and that in that environment, even a person of principle doesn't have a lot of impact. Okay. They go on and on to talk about artistic endeavors. They talk about vision. Basically, they're saying, do not doubt your inner vision or ethics in spite of the environment. I'm sort of skimming. Stagnation is a difficult time, and in reality, there is nothing you can do. If you participate in public activities, you will resonate with the atmosphere and become stagnant yourself. That's the advice to me. You must at all costs avoid the confusion that comes when there is absolute discord in the cosmos. It says withdraw. That's the advice, withdraw. So I'm going to do some thinking on this because I'm not sure what milieu they're talking about that's stagnant. There's been a lot going on in politics that's been affecting me, kind of national stage stuff that has been on my mind. And so that could be speaking to this. It says, do not attempt to influence others, for this is not possible. Do not compromise your principles or alter your standards, for there's no end to the chaos and nothing reasonable can be resolved. So basically it's saying, like, don't keep pushing for something in an environment that isn't responsive. Okay, I'm not going to continue reading, but you get the idea of how there's my little kitty. He wants to be part of the reading. Hello. He wants to, there he is. So I find this to be really wise and helpful and specific to the situation I'm dealing with. And like I said, I'm going to ponder it a little more And, oh, he's fascinated by something behind my computer. Okay. He liked that reading. I'm gonna ponder it a little more, but it's basically saying, like, don't push, don't keep pushing when you're not getting the results you want. And so we're going to move on to Linda. Linda, you're reading. Okay, so you want to do a video live for your business this week, and you're not sure what to do it on. What does the I Ching have to say? So I'm going to cast an answer for you. Okay, so it's going to take a moment. It's quicker than tossing coins. I'm using an online version of this. Okay, so here we go. Now I am tossing the coins virtually. Okay, so Linda, what I got for you is, I'm going to show it to you in the book. It's the hexagram number 3. This is what I threw for you just now. Okay, and it's called Difficult Beginnings. Difficult Beginnings. Okay, and what I'm just gonna try to summarize what it says for you. Difficult at the beginning. So it says that it's advising you to weave order out of confusion, that you will have success if you keep to your course. Carefully consider the first move, and I'm not sure what that refers to. And it says seek help. Okay, so now it's going to go into a little more detail. New ventures always pack along their inherent chaos. Okay, so this is a new, if this is a new topic for you or a new mode of communicating for you. And so though this is annoyance at best, it can even, this language, it can even downright doom an endeavor. It's also the friction that is needed to polish your project to jewel brilliance. So they're saying that, and learn from these early obstacles. So not quite sure what the obstacles are going to be. From what I gather from your question, it's about you're getting familiar with something new in terms of it being a new venture. Maybe it's a new topic, or maybe it's a new technology. And that this can be annoying, but it's what will help you. If you learn from this, it will help you polish your project. Okay, so there is more detail than that if we want it. Yeah, you want more explanation. I don't blame you. So your question was, you're doing a Facebook Live. Okay. It's talking about bad weather and weathering the storm of a difficult beginning. And that this type of situation comes out when there's a bunch of different elements striving to take form. Your new environment has not yet fully materialized. So there's a little bit, now that environment idea could be a topic you want to talk about that isn't maybe articulated completely yet. Concentrate now on current problems, particularly in worldly affairs. Maybe it's advising you to talk about what's going on in the world, current events. Do not attempt to break new ground. Your hands are full with myriad details that must be secured before you expand further. So I don't know if you had some topics in mind. It seems to be advising to focus on the current, not on emerging concepts. Because if there's something you're building, that this is speaking to the difficulty of that phase of building something, difficult beginnings. And now it's talking about identity, so it's going kind of deeper into the personal, like, identity. I don't know if that helps, Linda. Did you have some topics in mind? specific topics. Have you ever thought about doing topics related to current events or current situations that are happening? It's saying don't expand, don't break new ground. Focus on things you already have comfort with. Focus on topics that maybe are in the kind of public consciousness. Okay, so you were toying with the idea of emotions or talking about life purpose. And are these do sound like topics you are familiar with, that you that it's not that they're things that you have to kind of create new understandings about. That's the gist of what I'm getting. It's kind of hard to do a reading without talking in a conversation with someone. Yeah, I mean, that was a line, the current events one was a line that was pretty interesting. Concentrate now on current problems, particularly in worldly affairs. Now, for me, this relates to my headache issue because there are some things happening here in the United States that are affecting a lot of people emotionally and causing a lot of distress. And I have seen a lot of conversation online about what to do when people feel hopeless about a situation where their compassion is triggered, but they don't know what to do. And I'd be happy to share the details about it with you off camera, but when people see things happening in the world and their heart is touched and they're frustrated, and it does cause a lot of distressing emotions, what's the most empowering course of action that people can take? So that's what comes to my mind, but that's because that's on my mind. So I'm not sure if that's what speaks to you. Concentrate now on current problems, particularly in worldly affairs. In the meantime, do not attempt to break new ground. So with that, I was not able to figure out how to bring Linda on camera, but she and I are going to experiment with that, and we will work that out. Our goal is to have more of you see these, come and join us, join in the conversation, share your wisdom, share your requests of what you want to see us do. And next week we're going to be talking again about using your intuition, and we're going to come up with another fun thing to do for all of you. So if you're watching a recording of this, that's okay. Please join us and let us know what you thought, and share in the comments. Share in the messages. We want to know if this is something that you resonate with, and if so, we'll keep doing more of them. So bye for now, and if you want to get updated, click the subscribe button so you get notifications of our next live and our next video episodes. Until next time, Linda and I are signing off.